So hello, welcome back to the Friendship Stadium here in Dakar. And it's the one that the crowd has come to see. Cameroon getting the show on the road with that narrow 1-0 win over Morocco. But here in Group A, it's the host nation Senegal against the Nigerians, who've won this tournament once. Senegal in front of their home fans, who've never lifted the African Nations Cup. And not surprisingly, desperate to do well in front of their home fans here. Inside the stadium in Dakar, Group A looks like this. Senegal, Nigeria, the two favoured nations perhaps to go through to the next phase when it becomes knockout next week. Well, are Kenya just here to make up the numbers, or can they spring a surprise or two? We'll find out over the next 14 days as we bring you the first major soccer tournament live and exclusive here on Screen Sport. And we hope it's going to be as colourful and as thrilling as last summer's Copa America from Chile. So it's the Super Eagles from Nigeria who hope to soar here today and cause an upset in front of 80,000 fans, hoping that Senegal will get off like Cameroon to a winning start in their group. As the host nation, they've qualified automatically for these finals. And so while they've been able to relax in their preparations, Nigeria had an altogether different and more grueling path to these finals. The format's been extended this year to include 12 nations, and Nigeria had a tough route to the finals, starting off with a fairly easy 3-0 home win over Togo, and then away defeats at Ghana and Benin. That was a surprise. A draw picked up at Burkina Faso. These are hardly giants on the world footballing stage. And then with home games to come against Ghana, Benin, and doing the business against Burkina Faso. 7-1 last September in their final qualifying match. And that guarantees Nigeria's participation here today in this Group A encounter with Senegal. Well, Senegal, rather confusingly perhaps, we've already seen Cameroon earlier on this afternoon, also known as the Lions. But Senegalese football desperate to do well here on the world stage. The ANC coming to this part of West Africa for the very first time. And obviously the Senegalese authorities, the footballing folk down here, making the huge press corps welcome with the world's cameras fixed upon them. Seems to enjoy then as the crowd warm up for this opening encounter from Group A. Host nation Senegal beat Nigeria. It's all about to happen. Join us after the break.
Dakar, the capital of Senegal, the setting for the African Nations Cup and the entry of the host nation Senegal against Nigeria in this first match in Group A. Two of the favourites to win the cup, the final here a fortnight today, and both are aiming to be around to figure in it. Welcome to Screen Sport's continuing coverage of the African Nations Cup. 3 teams in each group in the opening phase. Kenya, the other team in the group, are the rank outsiders. 2 to qualify for the knockout quarter-finals in a week's time. And maybe the danger that these two may be prepared to settle for a draw. Certainly the first match that we had this evening between Cameroon and Morocco was a very cagey affair. But there's always an onus on the host nation to match up to the high expectations of their supporters. And the expectations of Senegal are very, very high indeed here in Dakar. It's a warm evening in Dakar. The pitch is very firm. It's the same setting as for the first game. The Friendship Stadium absolutely packed. The surface pretty flat, but very, very hard indeed. Nigeria in the all-green strip will include in their squad Ruben Akbula, familiar name to those of you who watch Football League. Played with both Sunderland and Southampton in the First Division, and is currently with Swansea City, who agreed rather reluctantly to release him for these African Nations Cup finals. And Agboola will play 3 games in the next 6 days and then jet back to England for Swansea City's game with Birmingham City next Saturday. And if Nigeria are fortunate enough to qualify for the quarterfinals, then he'll be back out here in Senegal for those. Well, Martin O'Neill, the former Northern Ireland World Cup captain, knows all about these big tournaments. And Martin, very often it's the arrival of the host nation which is really the trigger for the start of a tournament of this status.
Absolutely right, Clive. I think that there was a feeling about the first game, as you've rightly described, that a feeling not to lose. Certainly in Cameroon, who have built a fantastic reputation in recent years, would feel that they were under most pressure there to get some sort of result, and hence there's probably the way they played in the second half. But Senegal here, the crowd have arrived for this one, and it's important for them as well. But I think because of the urging of the home crowd that we're probably going to get a more attacking game. Certainly hope so.
Nigeria have a Dutch coach, Clemens Westerhof, who said that he will quit the job if they don't win the competition. Brave words from a coach at the start of what will be a long road. 5 games in the next fortnight for the finalists in the African Nations Cup. Just to remind you, the host nation Senegal in the all-white strip. They've never won the African Nations Cup, but they'll be aware that the host country have an excellent record in the competition. Algeria won on home soil 2 years ago, the last time the competition was staged. And indeed the 8th time in 17 tournaments that the Cup has stayed in the country that's staged the tournament. So away we go, Senegal in white against Nigeria in green. And a massive support for the home nation inside the Friendship Stadium. Number 8 for Senegal is Oumar Sene. First foul of the game on Bokande. And an early test for the Nigerian goalkeeper Aloy Agu. Agu, one of many players on view here this week who play their club football in Europe. He's the goalkeeper with the Dutch side Maastricht. And indeed the tournament has been staged at this time of the year in the hope of maximising the number of European club players who are able to gain release to represent their countries here in Senegal. Number 5 is Roger Mendy. 13, Tieno Youm. The foul given against Thompson Oliha in the Nigerian midfield. Senegal too have a European coach, Claude Leroy, who has quite a reputation in African football. He actually led Cameroon to victory in the Nations Cup in '88. Took over in charge of Senegal after that and took them to the semi-finals 2 years ago. Victor Diane playing in the Senegal midfield, trying his luck from long range. And interesting that the Nigerian goalkeeper Agu is leaving the goal kicks to Friday Ekpo. Maybe he'll think twice about it after that effort. Is Youm. But the physical stature of many of these top African players, a real feature. Such strongly built athletes. And the days when perhaps they were susceptible to the high ball and the more rugged approach of the top European and South American sides is long gone. Martin, it's very firm indeed.
It looks very firm, Clive, yes. And yet the ball has a reasonably true roll on it. From where we're watching the game, there seems an awful lot of tram lines on it, but it's running reasonably true, and it would need to for the number of games that are going to be played on it in the next fortnight.
Sene giving the ball away. Sane losing out. Eguavon. Roger Mendy tidying up for Senegal. Nigeria have an excellent record in the African Nations Cup, but it could have been much better. 4 times in the last 6 tournaments they've reached the final. They won it in 1980, but were runners-up in 84, 88, and again 2 years ago when they lost 1-0 to the host nation Algeria. Beaten 1-0 by a Cameroon penalty in 1988, and they actually led in the 84 final before going down 3-1 again to Cameroon. Not surprisingly, the final that Nigeria did win was at home in Lagos 12 years ago. There is a statistical advantage for the host nation, something that's mirrored in many of the world's major international tournaments. Roger Mendy. Adolphe Mendy. This is Stephen Keshi. Loose one by Sene. Tidied up by Fall. There is the Senegal side. And like Nigeria, many of those players based in Europe. And like Nigeria, a European coach. And here's an early chance and an early penalty shout. Referee not impressed. Certainly the Nigerian attacker had a long look. Rashidi Yekini was the man who came down, and the defender didn't make contact with the ball.
Well, I'll tell you something anyway. I think it was rather dodgy. I just wonder whether it might have been given at the far end.
For the home side, yeah?
The home side.
Ruben Agbudi, you can see, wearing number 2 for the green-shirted Nigerians. The Swansea City defender who's made this long trek out to Senegal to represent his country. He's actually London-born, but of Nigerian parents.
You'd mentioned just a moment ago there, Clive, about statistically the home side doing reasonably well in major competitions. I'll break off just for a second.
Listen, Nigeria is certainly asking the early questions here, but Senegal keeper Sheikh Sek is handling up to the challenge set for him.
With a possibility of those decisions being made there just after 5 minutes in the game, I think there had been a ferocious hullabaloo, and I think the referee decided to take the easier option of well, not to give it.
Just ease himself into the tournament.
I think like both sides are doing just at the moment. I think just about every player on the field has had a touch of the ball, and hopefully the action will start.
Yes, it's not exactly hell for leather, is it, at this stage? But good technique nonetheless. This is Senegal coming forward. And that's Eguavon cutting the ball out for Nigeria. And here's a chance for number 11, El Ahor, to break. Great pressure in Africa. Inevitably offered huge contracts to bring success, and the contracts not terribly long in duration. Neither is the patience of the governing bodies who hire them. There's surely an offside flag up there against Ndiaye. Plays for Mulhouse in the French second division. He seemed to get the benefit of the doubt here. It was an attempted shot which fell for him. You can see the appeals. But a goal kick was given.
Yeah, it's a poor finish. And funnily enough, it's the one thing I know I'm getting back to my old favourite thing about finishing. If you've got top class, if you have top class finishes, they're worth absolute millions. But the point I wanted to make is that the Cameroon, if they had been able to finish an awful lot of their chances in the previous World Cup, could have ended up as champions. They did create an awful lot and just couldn't finish.
Well, Nigeria have a throw in here, which Stephen Keshi will take, former captain of the team. And he certainly got some distance on that. The goalkeeper came for it and wasn't wholly convincing. Diagne. Strong run. This is Youm. A little bit of space here for Ndiaye, who had that chance a couple of minutes ago. And a little bit of slip and slide inside the penalty area. And the dignitaries here offering some dignified encouragement.
That was more encouraging as well too, because there were 4 or 5 lads involved in the build-up here. They finally thrown an English-style cross in. Well, his head over the bar, but the important thing is that they've got some momentum going. I've often thought that if they're the host team, they should want to apply as much pressure as possible, Clive, early on in the game against the opposition, because...
But it's Nigeria going forward, and a very good save there by the Senegal keeper, Sek. He had to be sprightly off his line and courageous in the block, and he was both.
Absolutely terrific save.
It's a slow, quick, slow sort of rhythm. The game appears to be slumbering at times, but the change of pace, quite dramatic when it comes. And already in the opening 10 minutes, both sides have had a clear sight of goal. But the score is Nigeria in the green, 0. Senegal, the host nation, in the all-white strip, 0. And a free kick to Senegal. Very strong field this time for the Nations Cup. It was played just before the World Cup 2 years ago. And certainly Cameroon and Egypt, who'd qualified for the World Cup, weren't at their best. 12 teams for the first time in the finals, and 7 of the previous 9 winners of the competition are represented here. Tunisia really the only surprise absentees. Number 5 for Senegal is Roger Mendy. Anybody who's anybody in Senegal appears to be here today. It's another feature of Cameroon's play in the World Cup that some of the naivety that we associate with African football in the past seems to have been educated out of their systems, and they picked up almost as many yellow cards in Italy as they did friends. And we've got the same sort of feel about this. 1 or 2 tumbles in the corner of the eye inside the penalty area. The referee's going to have to be sharp-eyed. He's given a corner here to Nigeria. It'll be taken by Souleymane Sané. One very strongly in the air, but no pressure on Cheng Sek.
Yes, I agree with that, Clive. No longer can they throw a few apologetic gestures right there as if I didn't mean that, referee. I'm sorry for hatcheting him down there.
Number 15 is Victor Diagne, who seems to be picking up a lot of the play in midfield for Senegal. Roger Mendy, the last man in defence. Nigeria have some real pace up front, and here's another excellent opportunity, which is well taken. And after 13 minutes, Nigeria take the lead, and the goal scorer is Samson Sia. And that change of gear by Sia, who plays his club football in Belgium for Lokeren, undid the Senegal defence, and Nigeria take the lead.
It's a magnificent ball, but they've been threatening to do that there for the last 3 or 4 minutes. Unlucky penalty decision. Sia has made terrific ground, got between the players and finished off terrifically. And there's no doubt that Nigeria deserved the goal. Again, we look at it, he's come between the two players, they've given him a little bit of room, but he's held the defender off and stuck it in magnificent.
He did, because the ball bounced up almost at knee height there before he hit it. It was virtually a volley by the time the pitch had finished with it, but he tucked it away very accurately indeed, and that may be just what the game needs, because Senegal's approach was cautious to say the least, and I think they almost lulled themselves into the dreamland which the defenders were eventually found out in.
Well, let me tell you that Nigeria have done exceptionally well. What they've done is they've retreated. When the Senegalese have been in possession in their own half, all they've done, the Nigerians have done, is just allow them to have the ball there and just retreat, and they've been able to hit them on the break.
Here they come again with Yakini, who scored 4 goals in the qualifying tournament and is a very confident finisher. But this was a tremendous pass, but it was that extra little bit of pace, accelerating between defenders. He came from a long way back. His control on the chest excellent, and look at the finish there. That's top-class technique. And Nigeria lead by a 1-0, scored by Sia after 13 minutes. It was a bit sharper from Senegal. It's the first time they've really challenged Nigeria inside their own half of the field. There's Ruben Agboola. Offside flag. But Yakini and Sia are a real handful up the front. Yakini has strength and confidence, and Sia, as we saw then, has real pace. This is Youm winning the ball back for Senegal. It's his error in the first place. Fall fouled. 15 is Diagne. And on the break, well, the offside flag halting Yakini's run. Beautifully taken in his stride there by Diagne, who's a very cultured player, good left foot. But Agboola is there to coax the ball back to his goalkeeper, Agu.
I know this is not a mid-November league game, Clive, but I do believe that the Nigerians were expecting to be put under a little bit more pressure than they have been. Consequently, they've been able to form their own pattern defensively in the game. They've been able to take the sting out of the Senegalese, which has not been widely difficult, and capitalised on the mistakes that the Senegalese have made.
So one or two managers looking at African players at the moment. As the manager of Wycombe Wanderers in the conference, what about this lad?
Well,
we could afford him.
Exactly.
So I'd say he's already playing his football on the European continent. And the problems don't end there for Senegal. They have an injured player down. They have Ndiaye changing his footwear. after 13 minutes. That was where the injury was caused. Senegal 13 is Youm. And they've got the benefit of the doubt there. Minutes gone in this Group A match in Dakar. The host nation Senegal in white, trailing Nigeria in green by a goal to nil. Nigeria play the outsiders in the group, Kenya, on Tuesday. And then Senegal wrap up the group on Thursday when they play Kenya. Top two qualify for the knockout quarterfinals, which begin next weekend. So only 4 of the 12 finalists will be eliminated in the first phase. And then it's real cup football right the way through to the final in a fortnight's time. Oliha. Losing out to Diagne. This is Ndiaye. Sene. Good challenge though by Keshi. And the chance for Oliha to bring the ball clear, and so much movement ahead of him, and again the flag raised against Yakini, and again it was a tight one.
I think he was just offside, Clive, but Nigeria have adapted very, very well. They don't seem under any great pressure, and they've been able to, as I say, pull men back at the slightest danger. They've got enough there to be able to do that, and obviously their breaking has been the feature of the game so far.
With 20 minutes gone, they lead by a goal to nil, and that's the back pass of a confident team. Great support here, of course, for Senegal, but great pressure too. They hosted an international tournament a year ago. They lost both games, very unfortunately, in penalty shootouts, but there was still public outrage that they'd finished last in the competition. And an opening day defeat will not go down too well in Dakar tonight. Particularly if the performance and the commitment doesn't improve. So a couple of inventive free kicks in the first game. Straightforward strike and goal, which Agu gave a cursory glance as it whistled wide of his goal, well wide.
Those are the sort of free kicks that my old manager Brian Clough used to say, from 45 yards out, and you try and have a pop at goal, you might as well roll it to the opposition and let them have just a total and utter waste of time.
What does he say when they fly to the top corner?
Well, luckily for him, there weren't that many that did do. Although he had a lot to say about the Dutch shooting in the 1978 World Cup. I think that took him by surprise.
Well, if you don't buy a ticket for the lottery, you don't win, and certainly he had the confidence to go for goal there. Presumably he has some history of scoring from that range. It was borne out by that effort. Offside. Hopelessly misplaced pass, although it was helped to its eventual target. spirited attempt at a cross by Youm, which has won a throw-in, which Adolf Mendy will take. Olihau was the player in the way. Little buzz of anticipation when Sane is in possession. That's a more searching cross and a good jump too by Bokande, the striker with the dreadlocks, which has won Senegal a corner kick. One that Tieno Youm will take. Ruben Agbula there in the forefront of the picture, trying to protect his goalkeeper Aloy Agu. And an easy catch for Agu, just a little too high for Bokande that time.
Just a little bit disappointing there because they've had a 2-in-1 situation with the corner kick. Nigeria have only sent one man out to it. They played the short corner. They've done it right. I think perhaps he could have gone in with the ball a little bit rather than just chipping it into the goalkeeper's arms. But by this stage of the game, you'd have felt Senegal would have put a wee bit more pressure on Nigeria. Just feel again that they haven't done enough to excite the crowd. The crowd need to be lifted here at this stage of the game. And the longer it drifts on, as Senegal seem to be doing, as the game just drifts on, I think Nigeria are going to obviously get more confidence about it and look the more likely side to extend the lead.
Yes, it's okay talking about the 12th man advantage of a home crowd, but when you turn that crowd against you, then it can be a real pressure on a side. But here's Bokande trying to work something out again, and he twisted and turned so much that he eventually made some space for himself. Youm now getting forward, as he has done to some effect, in towards Bokande, and the defender's clearance wasn't quite what he intended, but Eguavon got away with it, and now the crowd do come into play.
Finally, they've really woken up. I think it might have been Mendy who's attacked down the left-hand side and has headed away for a corner kick. I don't think for 1 minute that Senegal had enough players in the penalty box. However, it has lifted the crowd.
In towards Bokande, and again it came off Nigerian head, and it'll be another corner kick. And this is the spell of concerted pressure which the Senegalese crowd have had to wait 25 minutes for. Their team trail Nigeria by 1-0, but are on the attack. Oh, and that was a more stirring effort. Invited to shoot as, again, Senegal managed to get the spare man from the short corner. And Oumar Sene firing in the shot.
Better use of the corner kick, the 2-in-1 situation which they had just a moment ago, and Sene's just come right through to have a shot. Might as well, he's well inside the penalty box. No one has come immediately to close him down, and he's fired it just wide. So I think by the roar of the crowd now that there's something there for them.
Sene plays his club football in France with Paris Saint-Germain. So many African players making their mark in Europe, over 250 at the last count. As I say, the tournament played at this time of the year to accommodate the release of the maximum number of those foreign-based players. Lovely clear night in Dakar. And Senegal now beginning to find some rhythm. Sene finding Youm. Little combinations starting to promise a little bit on the edge of the penalty area. They'll be helped by that kind of defending. Eguavon very loose. And Nigeria just look a little bit rattled for the first time in the game. They've had things pretty much their own way so far, but here's Youm again. Supplier of some good crosses so far, and that was a rather reckless challenge by Fall, but he's got away with it, and here's Youm again, and that's a good cross and a header there by Bokande, just wide of the mark. Nigeria felt the play should have been stopped, but the referee waved play on.
Youm's a terrific cross in again. I think as Bokande has got a header to it, and he's just put it wide. But Nigeria, I feel absolutely right to protest there, because it looked a foul. It certainly did. The defender's gone for the ball, and the next thing you know, he's been shoved to the ground. and play's been allowed to go on. Getting back to the situation, I don't want to harp on to it, but the first 5 minutes of the game, which looked as if it was certainly a very untidy challenge in the Senegalese penalty box, and you always felt, had it been at the other end, the referee might have bowed to a wee bit of pressure and given it to him. So Nigeria, absolutely right, Clive, they're a bit rattled. They were rattled beforehand, they'll certainly be rattled now.
Candy's header in the end. He looks quite useful in the air.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a foul in anybody's book.
Rather dangerous foul too. It was Malik Fall who went crashing in. Saw him just rubbing his head a moment or so ago, but I think like as much damage as he's done to the Nigerian defender. He's being reminded where he is and what day it is, and that although Nigeria have the lead in this game, they're now going to have to up their own effort level to maintain their control of it.
I think that's right. They've gained great confidence from scoring the goal, but now they're trying to over-elaborate in their own penalty area. There's no point in taking chances there. They've tried little back flicks here and there, where suddenly nobody's watching, and the Senegalese, who found themselves well and truly out of the game at this stage, are obviously going to get a little bit of heart from that.
Adolf Mendy with the throw. Almost half an hour played here, and Nigeria in green still leading by a goal to nil. And the man in pursuit here, Sia, the scorer of the goal. And again, his pace has got him into a scoring position, but this time not quite the same decisive coolness in front of goal that he showed in the earlier opportunity.
He's done magnificently, and I don't think it's a foul. It's 6 of one and half a dozen the other. He's got his body in front. He's done the hard thing, and now he's going for glory. He just smashes it across the box, when perhaps, having had the confidence up from the first goal, Clive, he's likely to think about taking it round it, because he's actually almost full control of the ball when he's put his mark into the defender.
With that strike force of Yakini and Sia, they have pace and strength. And the game's set up for them now on the break.
Very much so. The more Senegal have to push forward, the more chance that they're going to have.
Akbula managed to get that one clear, but it's back into the possession of Youm. Another cross in towards Bokande, which the goalkeeper couldn't deal with. And it's just a complete change in the temperature of this match. The momentum is suddenly swinging the way of the host nation. In possession again with Sane. Sene. Setting up a shooting situation for Fall, which he decided against, caught between two stools, whether to go for goal or try and set up Bokande, and in the end did neither.
Yeah. Notice the Nigerian coach just telling them to calm down a little bit. He's absolutely right. There's no need for to get into any sort of panic at all. But just little situations like that, Clive, where the goalkeeper's come for Agu, he's come and he's missed a relatively simple cross because it's just gone slightly over his head. Next thing you know, they're trying to clear it off their own byline. And again, Senegal, from a nothing situation, have taken a little bit of hope from that.
This is Roger Mendy. Finding Ndiaye. Strong challenge by Akbula that time. Oliha leading the charge out. But Nigeria obviously best suited to the counter. Eguavon trying the shot that time. No problem for Sek. Here's Roger Mendy again. Adolf Mendy. Adolf Mendy stretching his legs and setting up an opportunity for Youm. But so much of the loose possession in midfield now falling to Senegalese shirts. Sene not making the best of it.
Yeah, just a couple of attacks there from Senegal, just beginning to break down. They look strong, don't they? Look strong, physically strong. I think after having seen Cameroon in the last World Cup, we wouldn't take any African side lightly. Just don't necessarily mean in terms of results and things like that.
That's another difficult ball for the Senegalese goalkeeper to deal with, particularly with Yekini bearing down on him again. I think Nigeria are in need of a good English third division coach who will teach them how to defend and then just lump it forward to those front two, because they can make enough trouble on their own. But that's it towards Bakandi again. He's getting closer. It's a goal kick. He's disappointed with himself, but he's had two dramatic headers now. And that's clearly going to be a good avenue of threat for Senegal.
Yeah, he gets up very, very well. But Senegal are beginning to get a little bit of room, both sides of the field now, getting a few crosses in. And I feel that is their best avenue now. They're getting just a little bit of a width. And I can see something happening for them from out on those sides of the field.
Bakandi becoming very much more a part of the game. He plays his club football in France with Lens. The dreadlocked centre forward with the aerial ability maybe to unlock the Nigerian defence and get Senegal back into this game. Straight into the path of Oliha. Okani just unable to control that under pressure, but it's been won back immediately by Diane, only for him to be penalised. Gestures of a Frenchman. Nigeria now just taking the opportunity to try and take some sting out of a game which is threatening to run away from them. Babalade, their left back. Stephen Keshi. Strong header though again by Adolphe Mendy, and here comes Senegal once more. Not quite sure who that was intended for. Keshi will gratefully gobble it up. We're into the last 10 minutes of the first half of this Group A match, and the host nation Senegal in white still trailing Nigeria to a goal scored after 13 minutes by Sia, the very pacey Nigerian number 9. Here he is. Got support ahead this time from midfield in the shape of Eziogu. Okani held up by Akula that time. Elagor was certainly looking for a free kick, but it's Yekini who's won it. Take the law into his own hands. Clemens Westerhoff, the Dutch-born Nigerian coach. What a financial backing for the game in Nigeria. But a national association prone to political infighting. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing when you start to get government support for you as a national coach. Another boss to answer to. Diagne. He's played better passes than that this evening. He's been the best user of the ball in the Senegal side, but make best use of it then.
It's just their last three attacks, Clyde. They've had a wee bit of joy going down the left-hand side, just slight joy here in the right-hand side, and their last three attacks have been down the middle. I feel that just if there is something to come from it, might as well go in something that you're trying, or at least getting a little bit of joy from, instead of trying to over-elaborate and have 3-1-2s.
Well, Keshi's lost it there, and still a chance for Bukandi. He scored. Sane set him up, and Bukandi, who's threatened an equaliser, has got one after 38 minutes, and Nigeria created all their own troubles there. International night of celebration in Senegal. They're back in the game with a goal from Jules Bukandi.
Yeah, you're right. Nigeria caused their own problems. They've got a chance to get it clear here. He doesn't go in wholeheartedly for the challenge. The ball's fallen to Bukandi, and he has threatened to do that all evening. That he will get a goal if given the proper opportunity. Here, Nigeria have just been a wee bit unlucky, but he's got a half-hearted challenge there. He's fallen to Bukandi, sticks it in very, very well. And it's a goal that's, well, it's come. It's just arrived there. I don't honestly think that Senegal know how it's arrived, but he's been able to hammer it away, and they're back in the game.
Yeah, Keshi was just a wee bit unfortunate. It wasn't the best of challenges, but it rebounded off him and Sane and just fell for Bukandi. And the only surprise is that Bukandi has scored with his foot, not his head, because that's where his threats come from up until now. So we're back where we started at 1-1. The fuse has been well and truly lit now.
I think despite the fact that Nigeria have gone through a wee bit of an unpleasant period in the last 10 or 15 minutes, there's been no phenomenal danger, Clive, and suddenly they find themselves one each when perhaps that they might have thought themselves that the next goal could have belonged to them. But they've allowed Senegal back into the game just by the way they've played around at the back.
Here they come on the counter with Yekini, and he's got a free kick. He's certainly looking for one. But there is a tremendous atmosphere inside the stadium now. And I think Nigeria, although they have a free kick in a promising situation here, will be grateful to hear the half-time whistle, because clearly the initiative is now with the host nation. Cheksek organising his wall. Bukandi doing some defensive duties on the right-hand end of it. Now, who will Nigeria's free-kick specialist prove to be? It's Yekini who's setting himself, although it's something that they've conjured up on the training ground, which very nearly came off for them. But Senegal on the break. Sane, and an offside flag up against Hume, who'd broken from deep. Sane doesn't agree with the decision. Clever little free kick though, Martin.
Yes, it was. An awful lot of bodies to try and get past though, Clive, but it was something new. It was something that we'd watched. I think, yeah, he's definitely offside. Perhaps if Sane had decided just to play at that yard, that fraction earlier, then Senegal could have been through. But it was inventive enough, the free kick I'm talking about.
Certainly an element of deception about it. But it's Senegal 1, Nigeria 1 now. We're 3 minutes away from the half-time whistle. Sia. Adepoju. And that's an easy one for Cheksek. And Senegal just want the half to go on and on at the moment. Here's Sane, who helped set up the equalising goal for Bukandi. Support from Diagne. And here's Bukandi turning again, and another shooting chance, and really he should have hit the target. They lost him altogether then. Ruben Agboola, in fairness to him, came across to try and cover a man who was not his. But Bacani had so much space.
You're right, you can't expect that amount of space. He's been able to turn on the little D and fire it in without anyone being in within 10 yards of him. Quite incredible. But you're right, he should have hit the target. I don't think he's done his reputation any harm though in this half. He's been the main threat for Senegal. He's definitely caused a lot of problems.
Such is the feeling for the game now in West Africa that anybody who emerges as a hero of a tournament, particularly for the host nation, will be offered the freedom of the nation. Bacandi, home from his wanderings in French football to represent his country, is leading his line magnificently and has led his team back into this game at 1-1. Free kick to Nigeria though. Well, it required a useful save in the end from Sek, although I'm sure it's not quite what Nigeria had in mind. Ball running away from Sane that time. Chance for Eziogu to just try and settle things down. Elahor. Kini just managed to force it back to him, and that's a good strong challenge by Mendy. Down goes Sane, on goes the game. Last minute of the first half. Senegal 1, Nigeria 1. Visitors taking the lead through Sia after 13 minutes, but Bocandi with the equaliser for the host nation in white with 7 minutes of this first half remaining. We're now into the final minute of the first half. There'll be a stoppage though for treatment to an injured Senegalese player.
Just gives us a chance to probably sum up the action of the first half. Nigeria have got themselves a goal in front, perhaps could have gone two in front, with Sia having done all the hard work, has flashed one across the box. But it's the old saying, it's goals that win matches, Clive, and a wee bit unfortunate to find themselves one each here, but you're right, looking forward to the half-time was to try and regroup, because in that 3 or 4 minute spell afterwards they could have found themselves behind as well.
Yes, 1-1 about right as we approach half-time. But as always in these situations, the advantage lying with the team that's equalised. Suddenly a game which was beginning to drift away from them is very much back within their control. Still occasional schoolboy lapses in technique, which leave you scratching your heads and wondering about the progress of African football, but so much in the physical condition of the players and in the natural technique of them suggest that with continuing education and the organisation of European coaches, they will continue to be the threat which Cameroon posed in Italia 90. And these are two of the better African nations at the moment. Nigeria in green, drawing 1-1 with Senegal in white. Sia, the scorer of the Nigerian goal. Clearance into the path of Adolphe Mendy. 15 is Diagne. Asked a little bit too much of Mendy with the return ball, and it ran out of play before he could link up with Bocandi. Cameroon, who made so many friends, 1 or 2 enemies during the World Cup, won the opening game of the tournament here this evening, and in the second match we've reached the halfway mark, with Senegal, the host nation, having made a nervous start and having conceded a goal after just 13 minutes to the Nigerian striker Samson Sia, fighting their way back, and always the man most likely, Jules Bocandé, there in picture, equalising for them 7 minutes before half-time. We'll be back with the whole of the second half, live from Dakar.
Well, warm welcome back to the stadium here in Dakar as night falls over this West African nation. Senegal hosting the African Nations Cup for the first time and coming back to draw level at half-time. It's been a good opening 45, Martin.
I've enjoyed it, Phil. Yes, it's been good stuff. Senegal, a wee bit nervous. I think sometimes the expectations of host nations are well, they're obviously high, sometimes unnaturally or unreasonably high. But they've got themselves back into the game after Nigeria had threatened to overwhelm them.
Well, the press here in West Africa were writing the script for this game as the duel between the predator, Bokande, and the Rock, who's the Nigerian defender Keshi, and that's really how it's turned out.
Absolutely right. They've got it right as well too. Bokande looks an exceptionally talented player, good in the air, and as we've seen from his goal, obviously reasonably good, decent with his feet.
33 years of age, probably playing in his last African Nations Cup tournament, and he's certainly been riding the headlines in the first half. It's Senegal, the home side here in the all-white strip, and we can see here there may have been a suspicion of offside from that move, and in fact before then I felt Nigeria were very unlucky not to have had a penalty inside the first 10.
Well, we were talking about it. We'll just talk this one through here. It looks definitely offside. I think it's he's had a chance at goal and he's obviously missed it. But getting back to the one you're talking about, Phil, I do genuinely believe it had it happened in the Nigerian penalty area that the referee would have given it.
Well, here's the goal on 13. Sia, who plays in the Belgian First Division for Lokeren, and he's clearly learned a thing or two there about the hurly-burly of European football. Held off the challenge, good goal.
He can definitely play, there's no doubt about that. He had a chance just after that again to maybe make it 2-0, and I think he'll be disappointed with himself. We get the goal again. It's a superb ball, but he's still got plenty to do there. He's got between two defenders, held him off, and has been able to keep the ball down, which is the hallmark of a very good finisher.
And I think Clive made the point there in the first half that the bounce off the pitch didn't make it too easy for him, kept his head and control, and finds the bottom corner with the right foot. But then back came Senegal as they began to wear Nigeria down and had a spell of pressure here, as Bokande really came to the fore.
No, it's a terrific header. I think they were very, very lucky to allow play to go on then. I think it was a definite free kick. Having said that there, good cross by Hume, and Bukande's at the end of it again. Got up above the Nigerian defence and was just wide with his header. But he had threatened to do this all early evening, if you can call that, and Nigeria should have been tuned into him. This is the opportunity that we've been talking about, Phil. He's done exceptionally well. He's been able to keep the defender off when the defender was actually favoured for the ball. And when he's got there, I just feel that he's gone for glory. He's just blown up, and I think he could have done a little bit better.
Yes, he's never favourite to win this through ball, Martin, but as you see, tremendous strength to hold off the last defender and everything but the finish.
As it turns out, that was very, very costly, because within minutes of that particular incident, that Senegal have actually equalised. That again is another header from Bokande, terrific one, and shortly after that there they got the equaliser. He's a bit annoyed with himself there.
Yes, the host nation making a lot of progress down that left flank in the first half.
They were able to do it, and that's why I was saying to Clive, I thought a wee bit surprised that they just didn't keep going with it. As it turns out, they got their particular goal from that side of the field, but it wasn't an actually. It's been picked up. It's been a bad Nigerian mistake. Again, he's made two mistakes. It's been a wee bit unlucky, and perhaps I was harsh on him when I say that he went half-heartedly with the ball, but he should never have been caught in possession in the first place, and Bokande finished it off.
1-1, 6 minutes before the break. Senegalese pressure paying off. The home fans delighted, and I think, as we suggested at the break, a just scoreline after the first 45 minutes as the two sides go in at 1-1. Bokande, who might have had another one after this, blazing over the bar when left completely unmarked on the edge of the 18-yard line, firing that equaliser after a mistake in the Nigerian defence from Keshi, who had two opportunities to clear, and Bokande, the 33-year-old, making no mistake. So Senegal and Nigeria, two strong and pacey sides, promising plenty of great action for the second half. In the first 45, the picture of the game, well, from the statistics anyway, and we know how they can lie. Goal attempts, 8-3 in favour of the home nation, and Senegal have edged it on corners as well. But once again, as we saw in our opening encounter between Cameroon and Morocco, it's been good open attacking play, very few fouls, and here in the first period we've seen no yellow or red cards from a referee who's given the game every opportunity to flow. Well, we hope very much you're enjoying day one of this, the first major soccer tournament of 1992, all coming your way over the next 2 weeks here, live and exclusive on Screen Sport. If you missed our first game up this afternoon, we got the competition underway with the favourites Cameroon edging Morocco by 1-0 in Group B, and you can enjoy highlights of that along with the rest of the action from the game from Group A, Senegal and Nigeria to complete tonight's action. While tomorrow in Group D we'll be looking at the exploits of Egypt as they take on Zambia. Another highly entertaining game in prospect between two nations who have a vastly different approach to football. Down here in Africa, where such tremendous strides have been made in football over the past 20 years or so. Let's take you back now, in fact, during the break here, to Lagos and the scenes from 1980. When Nigeria, as host nation, landed the tournament for the first and only time in their history. Playing Algeria in the final, it's Nigeria in the all-green strip, who turned on the magic in front of their own fans and were winners 12 years ago. 2 goals coming up in the first half for the Nigerian side, both scored by Odegbami. There's the second. A couple of minutes before the break, they'd taken a 2nd-minute lead, Nigeria, and they made the game safe 5 minutes after the restart. Coming up, you'll see an error here from the Algerian keeper. The rebound falls for Laval. It was Nigeria's cup in 1980. Algeria runners-up. The final score 3-0 to the host nation. Here we are in 1992, the 18th time this tournament has been played for. The format extended this year to include 12 nations. They're divided into 4 groups of 3. And the whole jamboree got off earlier this afternoon down here in Dakar with the match between our old friends from the last World Cup, the always entertaining Cameroon, here in the green shirts, beating Morocco thanks to that goal from Kanabiyik. Came midway through the first half. Isn't he delighted? And why not indeed, because it's a big brother, Oman Bayik, the target man up front, who helps on the long throw from the far side. And a simple task for the defender, left completely unmarked at the back post to defeat Morocco's keeper, Zaki. And the ball there on its way into the back of the net. Cameroon off to a winning start, and the 2 points for them. Although they did have keeper Bell to thank for a fine save at the start of the second to deny Morocco an equaliser. So Cameroon doing what they did in Milan in the summer of 1990, opening another major tournament with a similar result. 1-0, Cameroon go to the top of Group B with 2 points. Zaire yet to get into the action. So there's our version of the, well, the Senegalese swing perhaps, not quite the Mexican wave just yet, but it's a warm and balmy night down here in the Senegal capital. The large crowd, filled to capacity inside the Friendship Stadium, have enjoyed this first half. I'm sure you have at home as well. There's plenty to look forward to. In the second, the team's locked in at 1-1. Clive Tilsley and Martin O'Neill will be back with the whole of the second half after this short break.
Welcome back to Dakar. Welcome back to Dakar and Screen Sports, continuing live coverage of the African Nations Cup. In this Group A match, that goal for Nigeria, giving them the lead against the host nation, scored by Sia after 13 minutes, but equalised for Senegal by Bokande 7 minutes before the break. And that's the way that it stands at half-time. Rather fortunate break falling Bokande's way, but he's been a threat to the Nigerian goal throughout the second quarter of the match. And his equaliser leaves this game perfectly poised at the halfway stage. Nigeria in green against the host nation Senegal in white. 1-1 the scoreline. And the great Pelé claimed some time ago that Africa would be the dominant continent in world football by the end of the century. Certainly Cameroon furthered that claim in Italy last year. There'll be 3 African qualifiers for the next World Cup finals in the USA, as opposed to 2 last time. Morocco putting together a case to actually stage the World Cup finals. And these 2 of the leading West African nations setting the standards for the continent in the years leading up to the USA. Early foul in this second half by a substitute there for Senegal, Moussa Ndeo, who plays his club football in Morocco, appears to be on for this second period. Senegal in possession with Oumar Sene. This is Adolphe Mendy, the left back. Playing at the heart of the defence here, number 20. 15, Diagne. Good challenge though by Swansea's Ruben Agboola. Senegal not required to qualify because they're the host nation for the first time in their history. Got some problems here, and required a smart save by Sek, their goalkeeper, as Sia came in again. And they rather stood and admired that cross. Nobody really attacked it. Sia almost got in. It might just have been a goalkeeper's ball in the first place, that, Martin.
I'm not so sure, Clive. It's come away from a little bit. It was a good attack by Nigeria. They broke away down the left-hand side, and it was thrown in there. And who else but Sia to run into it? But I mean, if he had scored, it would have been a very poor defending on the Senegalese part, because they had 3 players round him at the time, and allowed him the first header on it.
Free kick to Senegal. There is the substitute, Moussa Ndeo, who plays, as I say, his club football in Northern Africa with Morocco. Mendy's cross is a good one, and who else but Bokande on the end of it? He was taking a climb that time on the back of Babalade, the fullback. Babalade felt it. But they're feeling the force of Bokande in the air, that's for sure, and I think he actually climbed cleanly. I think the arm contact might have been on the way down. Good cross by Adolphe Mendy.
First impression, just as we cut, that he actually handled the ball.
Ah, that's what it was. Nigeria had to win their last group match to claim their place. They did so convincingly. They scored 7 against Burkina Faso, finished second in a group behind Ghana, who took 3 points off them on their route to Senegal. It sometimes works against the host nation, the fact that they haven't had that sharp competitive build-up that their opponents have had. They've had to satisfy themselves with some friendly matches in the build-up, and they haven't been terribly successful in those games.
I agree with you, Clive. I think that you need that competitive something about you, because I think Nigeria have played about 7 or 8 games to get to this stage, and
is Youm, and the challenge was by Eziogu, and it was a fair one. skill, good pace and strength again from Yekini. That was a most forceful, penetrative run and earned the corner kick. Rashidi Yekini, who plays for Vitória Setúbal in the Portuguese First Division. Corner conceded by Q. But certainly Yekini and Sia are giving the Senegalese coach Claude Loire plenty to think about. That's a useful header too. Sia stooping in bravely, just unable to direct it. I sometimes wonder whether English football has been a little behind in recognising the progress of African football. When you see these two Nigerian strikers working so well, one's already playing in the Belgian First Division, the other in the Portuguese First Division. And only in the last couple of years has some African talent started to filter through into the Football League.
Probably wouldn't disagree with you, Clive. I thought that there might have been a rush to get some of the Cameroons after the 1990 World Cup in Italy. I think they chose to have an easier type of existence in French football. Would easier be the right word?
Yes, the demands of English football are certainly different. But the natural strength and power of several of these players is something to be admired. Interesting to see if it's as prevalent in the latter stages of this game and the latter stages of the tournament as it's been in the first half. The English Football League is a long course to last. One Nigerian player, Uchi Okuchukwu, has been linked with Leeds United in one or two papers, but he's not even playing in this game. That's Yekini testing Sek again. Sia left-footed shot, but Sek was able to just stop. And Apoju giving the ball away. Candy losing out. That's too long even for Sia. Sene just throwing the ball in, and it's bounced very kindly here for Sane, and some very adventurous but very effective goalkeeping by Alo Aku, who saw the danger that his defenders didn't and was very quickly on the scene. Sane suddenly had half the pitch to himself. Sane again, this time playing in Adolf Mendy, and another useful cross on the fullback. Sane once more, well charged down. And Senegal picking up where they left off at the end of the first half.
Mendy has been able to put in some really telling crosses from that left-hand side. It's causing Nigeria all sorts of problems there.
This is Sene. Sane just unable to control it. And away comes Ekpo. Offside.
I think it was actually Sia offside in the middle of the field rather than the winger who got possession of the ball.
Roger Mendy tossing that forward, and this time the free kick has gone Senegal's way, something that happened off the ball.
I just felt up until that last moment or two of Senegalese pressure that they had allowed the second half to develop a pattern again, that Nigeria were coming more into the game, whereas Senegal had finished the first half quite strongly. And just watch the free kick.
It's an ambitious effort from you.
I think that's the second time he's done that, one in the first half. He's going to get it close soon.
But just to finish off what I was saying, Clive, I just felt that up until the last moment or two, they had allowed Nigeria again to dictate the pattern of the play. And it's the one thing, the crowd, having been urged on, having been aroused by the equalising goal, I think that they would have felt that their home side should have been coming out all guns blazing second half. It might not be their style of play, but I think they should have put a wee bit more pressure on the Nigerian defence than they actually have done up until this moment.
10 minutes of the second half gone. It's Senegal in white 1, Nigeria in green 1. And that's not quite such a good cross this time from Tew. He plays his club football in Belgium for Charleroi. Strong header under pressure by Roger Mendy. And that time, Yakini and Sia were too close together. Finding Adolf Mendy. Yakini back to Mendy again. This is Ndeo, the substitute. Youm might fall here for Sane, but as Bokandi went in, the decision went against him, and I think again it was handball against the Senegal goal scorer. Youm's cross.
Yes, handball, but Bokandi trying an acrobatic overhead kick. I thought Youm had done particularly well on the far side of the penalty area. He just pulled away from his defender and immediately has got it under control, whipped it across first time, and Bokandi's a wee bit unlucky.
Senegal may never have won the Nations Cup, but they've been semi-finalists on 2 occasions. They lost to the eventual winners and hosts Algeria 2 years ago. Well, they've not really built on that promise. They've gone out of the African Games and the Olympic Games in the last 12 months to Mali and Tunisia, neither of whom have managed to qualify for this event. Here's Yakini again. Good defending that time by Roger Mendy. Not quite so by Tew, but he's helped out by Ndeo. Diagne. Again, good, strong play in possession. That was a dreadful tackle. First really cynical swipe that we've seen, something that Bokandi didn't much care for. The referee says, I'll handle it. But the nonsense continues behind his back. But it was an awful challenge.
There's no doubt about that. I think it'll be the first yellow card if the referee gets to finding out which player actually did it.
If you can remember who it was now. It's one of those creative diversion. I might just get away with it. The linesman says, I can't remember either. I think the referee knows, yeah. He's calling the offender Babalade, the left back over to him. That's just what you need when you've been treated as an apology about 2 minutes later.
I thought that was nice, just a nice little touch in your backside and say, unlucky son. What's all the fuss about?
Now this is what the fuss is about. Ouch.
Oh, it was high.
I don't think Ed Moses would have got over that. There's Bokandi taking the law into his own hands, but he got nastier still after that.
It did, yeah.
Calm down. And out comes the yellow card. And I'm pretty sure that Babalande is the man who's going to be the recipient. Well, Diagne apparently has been shown it. Can't believe that. Diagne, unless it was for the aggravation that he caused afterwards. Diagne, of course, is a Senegalese player. So presumably he's been booked for retaliation.
Well, there was a fist thrown in anger, so perhaps it may have come from that. I think there's relative calmness.
African football still racked by the instability that plagues the continent. Last year, Ethiopia had been forced to withdraw from the Nations Cup qualifiers because of a civil war. And all sorts of allegations of cheating. There's been hooliganism. Sadly, a fatal stadium tragedy last year. It's a very volatile footballing continent still. Rather disappointing free kick for Senegal. Roger Mendy did his best to rescue it. Adolphe Mendy losing out. And here comes Yekini leading another break. Good challenge though coming in from Fall, the right fullback. The Nigerian player Stephen Keshi was actually the victim of an armed robbery outside the team hotel before a match last year. He was held at gunpoint, and in fact his brother was wounded in the incident. So some of the problems that we feel we still have in European football, and there are many, and nothing compared to some of the situations that still have to be sorted out elsewhere. Free kick given in Bokande's favour. Babalade is going to have to watch his step. We've had an hour. It's
a little bit disappointing.
Senegal 1, Nigeria 1, and we've reached a very crucial stage in the game now, with Senegal starting to force the pace, but Nigeria particularly dangerous on the break. Not sure that the next goal might not just decide the outcome of this game. 15 is Diania, 18 is Ndeo, the substitute. They seem to be the two main candidates. It's going to be Ndeo, and I think it bounced 3 times before it reached Agu, the Nigerian goalkeeper.
Yes. Including a deflection along the way.
Sia it was who opened the scoring for Nigeria after 13 minutes, and Bakane, the tall dreadlocked figure in the centre of your screen there, who equalised for Senegal 7 minutes before half-time. 1-1 the score.
Senegal just at the moment in slight danger of letting the game just disappear from them, Clive. They built up good momentum just before the goal, around half-time, and just after that. But this half, just the occasional bout of pressure, there's been nothing really sustained, and they need to pick up momentum, get a little bit more impetus into their attacking play to cause Nigeria a few problems.
Well, here's the man to do it, Okande, their goal scorer in the first half, and looking for a penalty instead, having pushed Ezioku to the ground. He's conceded a free kick. Six of one and a half dozen the other, really difficult to call. Referee found in Nigeria's favour. That was turned on cleverly by Sia, and here's Yekini. Move's lost a little bit of its momentum now, and Fall was able to get in a challenge, which has conceded a throw-in. Agboola having to come back to the halfway line, and under some pressure, Babalade having to go all the way back to Agu, his goalkeeper. Just to reiterate, there are 3 teams in each of the qualifying group, and 2 qualify for the knockout quarter-finals, which start next weekend. And Kenya, the other team in this group, really are the rank outsiders, not just of the group, but of the whole tournament. So both Nigeria and Senegal will feel fairly confident of progressing with a draw from the opening game under their belts. I don't think that I detect either of them actually settling for that at the moment. But both will be aware that it's not the end of the world, and certainly not the end of their Nations Cup if the scoreline remains the same.
No, there's no obvious appearance that either side have settled for the draw at the moment. But I would state the obvious to say that that would suit Nigeria a lot more than it would Senegal.
Particularly as Nigeria get the first bite at Kenya on Tuesday, they can get that match won, sew it up, put their feet up until the weekend. Ruben Agbula can come back to South Wales, play a league game against Birmingham City next Saturday, and prepare himself for a flight back to West Africa for the rest of the tournament. John Salaka, of course, is Nigerian-born, already represented England at international level, and I understand he's in Dakar for the duration as a very interested observer. Even more interested in that challenge by Stephen Keshi. He could have been in real trouble there, might still be, as Hume went forward. Bokandi again is on the scene.
I may be wrong, but I just feel that he's taken the dive here. If he had stayed on his feet, he's gone for it, and he's decided to go deliberately for it. I'm not saying that he wasn't impeded, but if he had stayed on his feet, he was clearing for goal. I think perhaps he felt the ball was just going a wee bit too far away from him. But he's done exceptionally well, and I think he's played for the free kick play.
Senegal have been a little disappointing for these free kicks so far. Agu hasn't had too much to worry about. It's Diagne who seems to be setting himself this time, and Ndeo, number 18, just to his left. And it's going to be Ndeo once more, and that took a deflection of Stephen Keshi. Did it? No, goal kick. Thought Keshi had charged it down. Ndeo's shot rising high over the crossbar.
Well, I'm not surprised he's... It's just exactly the same free kick that a moment or two ago, except that Ndeo got it about... well, he certainly hit it a lot harder, got it no closer.
His coach has spent weeks dreaming that one up. Interesting to see the Senegal coach telling his team to calm down. He looks about the most excited man in the stadium. I think that might just have been handball. And he'll get a yellow card for that young man. I think it's Adolf Mendy, the left back. Into the final quarter, Senegal 1, Nigeria 1. Opening match in Group A. Live African Nations Cup football for you on Screen Sport, coming from Dakar in Senegal, and the host nation in the all-white strip drawing 1-1 with Nigeria in green. And the header from CSL, from Yekini, in fact, just creeping wide of Sek's right-hand post. Nigeria have a growing reputation at junior level. They won the FIFA Under-16 World Cup in China back in 1985, and a number of the players, of course, have progressed to the senior squad. They beat West Germany 2-0 in the final that year, and they reached the final again 2 years later and lost on penalties to the USSR. It's an event which you may recall Ghana won in Italy last year. Some very, very raw but promising young talent about on the African continent. Having said that, Nigeria were guilty of fielding overage players in an under-20 championship which FIFA organised, and they were heavily fined for that. The Nigerians women's side also played in the World Cup in China last year, although they were beaten in all 3 of their games. But again, it's just another sign of the progress that they're making on all fronts. And the African Nations Cup has never had a higher status in world football. Nigeria just starting to assert themselves again here. Yekini. It's a useful ball to the far post. CSC has pulled it back, but it needed to be popped away from under the nose of his goalkeeper, Sek, by Ndiaye. Free kick given against Hume. Good cross. And good climb at the far post by CSC. That's the foul by Hume on Eziogu. Free kick which Stephen Keshi will take. But Sek had a little escape then. Bounced awkwardly, but Bokandi's back there to clear. And again. Bokandi turning the ball on in midfield that time, but Adepoju managed to turn it away. And the forward ball asked far too much of Sani.
Just going through a little period, Clive, where the game has lost impetus. Nigeria had a little, there wasn't even a half chance with Sia again outnumbered by defenders, but was able to get a header back, and it was kicked out of the goalkeeper's reach. But other than that, there we've gone through a 10-minute period where Senegal, I can't say look content to see the draw out, but they've not got the momentum up from the end of the first half. Perhaps this might change things.
It's Hume in possession. Played behind Bakandi that time, and Agbuda got it clear. Here come Nigeria with Eziogu. Oh, say. Goalkeeper surprised there, and he made a good save with his right-footed Sek. Danger has still not been cleared. It might be now. Sek is a grateful recipient of that rather tame cross, because just for a moment the centre of his defence was undone.
Yes, we're just seeing the final moment of that there, but the Senegalese defence just actually retreated without actually making a challenge, and by the time that they'd realised the danger, the Nigerians were on the edge of the penalty box, and a save by Sek's leg was enough to clear the danger anyway. But
Keane is the unlucky player. Here's Adolphe Mendy in towards Bokandi again. Goalkeeper committed. Goalkeeper did well. Good strong punch, clearing his penalty area by a good 12-15 yards. That maybe is the answer to Bokandi's aerial threat for Agu to come for more. Deal with it himself. Eziogu. Cut out by Sene. I think that was an intended dummy. Adepoju. And offside that time against Yakini. Don't think he agreed.
I think the crowd are just getting a little bit restive. I feel that game's disappearing for them. Senegalese not working hard enough really to get the ball back, just retreating into situations and hoping that the Nigerians will give the ball back to them. May not always happen.
About 17 minutes remaining. This is live football on screen sport from Dakar. Nigeria in green 1, Senegal in white 1. Opening group matches in the African Nations Cup. Yakini's made space for himself here. Goalkeeper exceptional at his feet. CSD are furious that he didn't get it square, but really having got through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he had a right to try and go around him, but he was denied by an outstanding stop by Sek. And here on the break at the other end comes Diania, and it's Agu's turn to come bravely to the edge of his goal area. Two dramatic moments. This is the first effort. Well, he could have squared it, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. He should have done. He should have done. He's looked up, and but he's decided to go. If he's not really made his mind up, and here an incident at the far end again, for Agu has done exceptionally well to retrieve that situation. But well, just when we thought the game was dying, an incident at both ends.
Just over a quarter of an hour remaining now. Game's certainly still there for the taking, and as both sides have proved in the last minute, both sides are capable of taking it.
I think in the first instance, full credit to the goalkeeper, Sek. He's come out, he's made his mind up anyway that whatever happens, he's going to go for the ball. He's been a wee bit lucky in the sense that that he's been able to gather it, but I think Nigeria feel themselves that they're a wee bit unfortunate. doesn't seem too excited about proceedings. We're getting it back again. Nigeria, neat football, very neat football. Just grabbed it second time. Oh, CSC is absolutely livid with him.
Goalkeeper's on the ground, but having gone to ground, he didn't actually commit himself. He almost sort of propelled himself up onto his shoulders and waited to see which side of him Iachini was going to go, and Iachini went the wrong side.
The Senegal defence were undone with just a little bit of neat movement. That's all it was, neat movement.
So many far more colourful scenes on the terraces around this stadium. Obviously the dignitaries in Senegal are very important people. It's a rather grave business to them, but the rejoicing and the continuous bedlam that's going on around the stadium really giving a marvellous backdrop to this opening game for the host nation. Here's Ruben Agboola. Sia. Good skill again. Beautifully delivered into the path of Iachini. Now, will he go it alone once more? He did. Ran into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Good volley, though, and a fine save once more by Seg. Instant shot from the edge of the penalty area by Friday Ekpo. Just starting to bubble this game. Less than 14 minutes for these two sides to reach a decision. But the longer it goes, the more likely a winning goal becomes. Ekpo, the substitute.
He's hit it very, very well. It's gone straight at the goalkeeper.
A yard either side would have been interesting.
It was the move leading up to that. I thought Nakini Sia has done exceptionally well. He's laid it off to him. Nakini's come inside in his favoured right foot. He's just taken a wee bit too long. And although the shot has finally fallen and the goalkeeper's made a save, I thought Nakini himself should have done a little bit better.
Was got a nasty spin away from him there as Iachini came in, sniffing for the rebound.
The danger's always there, Clive. CSC is a handful. He's always caused problems. Sometimes he's played there up on his own, but still it doesn't seem to matter. And I think Senegal are aware of that.
That's why we've got a stoppage of play. Interesting that maybe the most significant event of the last week here, a unanimous vote by the African delegates to back a return to the international scene for South Africa. 30 years in the wilderness, it'll all end next year. Football is the big sport in South Africa. It's actually more popular than rugby union. World Cup was screened live there last year. And there's always been a reasonably liberal approach to football. The South African League has carried those colour bars since 1978. And we're all waiting for South Africa to return to the international sporting scene and waiting to see which sport they're going to make their mark on quickly. And it may just be football. And the black African nations have welcomed them back into the fold with open arms. All sportingly returned to Senegal. 1-1. 12 minutes plus any added time for the treatment to check Sek to play. All the scores are deadlocked. It's certainly not been a stalemate. Nothing stale about the last 4 or 5 minutes of action. Agboola almost pinning Bokandi to the touchline. Hideo, it was in fact the substitute. Important Olympic qualifiers in Africa next month. Neither of these two sides have reached the last 6 teams bidding for places in Barcelona. Eziokwu. And then, of course, the business of World Cup qualification begins. 37 African nations competing for 3 places. Senegal and Nigeria both had fairly favourable draws in the opening groups. They're expected to reach the last 9. Who will then fight out those 3 precious places in the USA 94. Nigeria carrying the greater threat in the closing stage of the game, just as they did in the opening stages, and the Senegal coach feeling his team had rather gone to sleep.
I think he's feeling this, getting to a stage now, we're into the last 10 minutes of the game where Senegal dare not lose, really, because they, as you can see from the pictures, the crowd, fantastic, big crowd. They don't want to be dispirited from losing a match here, and I think you'll feel that Nigeria just beginning to get the edge in terms of chances anyway, and that if we assume that both sides will beat Kenya, then it's important that the host nation actually don't lose the game. I felt that they would have shown more bite in the second half. They obviously haven't done, and I think they'll be content with a 1-1 draw.
George Finidi was the substitute for Nigeria, who is preparing to come on as Yakini goes forward again. Well dealt with this time by Roger Mendy. Yakini won it back though. And here comes Finidi. And the man who will be replaced is Friday Elahor of the Danish club Brøndby. Ekpo lost out that time, then did what any player who's just surrendered possession must do, make an attempt to win it back immediately. Kande all the way back to his goalkeeper Sang. That's right, Finidi might not get on, there are only 8 minutes remaining. Sia. Important interception by Mendy. Sia first to the loose ball though. Adolf Mendy who gets it clear. Mendy. Chance now for Sane to get outside his fullback, but the fullback in question, Babalade, in control. On back by Ndeo, on by Sene. This is Diagne. 2. Who plays in the French second division with Angers. His throw-in will be delayed so that Yakini can come on. Or Finidi, I should say, can come on, replace Alabor. Coaches use their squads well, with potentially so many games to play in the space of a fortnight. That's into towards Bukandi, but he was outnumbered there. And a first touch for Finidi. Sene though. Aside from that one rapid break, within seconds of Nigeria's best chance of the half, Senegal had theirs, and aside from that chance, Senegal really have been rather muted force in this second half.
Very much so, and I think from that halfway line back pass a moment or two, go back to Sek, the boos of the crowd would suggest that they've not been too happy with the second half performance of Senegal. But again,
the coach of Nigeria must sense that if anybody's going to steal it in these last 6 minutes, it's going to be his team.
It's just as I had sensed, there seems a contentment in the fact that they haven't been beaten. It's important. I know it's very, very important. It's going back to England 1966, Uruguay, first game, 0-8, very, very disappointing. But they hadn't got beaten. I think I remember Bobby Charlton once saying that there was a springboard for it from then on. I know this might be a different ball game altogether, but there's just a sense here that Senegal, who really I felt after equalising had the game for the taking. Perhaps they might half-time came a wee bit too early for them, but they've not had any impetus up at all second half. They've allowed Nigeria to get back into a rhythm of play again. And in fact, Nigeria have actually ended or looked the better side in the second half.
Certainly there is a winner of this match. You would expect them to win the group and therefore be playing against a second place team in the quarter-finals, but I don't quite know how these opening groups are going to work out. But unless Kenya, the other team in the group, have got something up their sleeves which we haven't seen in the build-up to the tournament, then both Senegal and Nigeria will remain confident of progressing. If they do meet again at a later stage, there'll be one or two personal scores to settle. It's a game that's had a little undercurrent about it. Now this player, Adolphe Mendy's got in some good crosses on the few occasions when he's got forward, and maybe recognising that, Yekini came all the way back with him and brought him down, and Yekini will be shown a yellow card, which come in on the costly statistic for you in the course of a tournament. 2 yellow cards and 1 match suspension. So credit to Yekini's strength and stamina that he's actually made that run back. He is a striker, but it was a striker's challenge. Less than 4 minutes to go. Now is this the big chance for Senegal? Sene will take the free kick. It's in towards the head of Bokandi. It's just a little bit too long for him. Ndiaye's cross-charge down. Benedeo. Good skill from him. Not able to link up with Bokande, and here come Nigeria on the break. Yekini sending them going forward. Offside flag.
Just a word there about Adolphe Mendy, the number 3. I think he's going to be one of the more talented players. Well, I think they're all talented footballers, but he's certainly been very, very impressive. And if you feel, Clive, that the pitch is a little bit lively, a little bit bumpy, then his control and his ability to get in really telling excellent crosses from the left-hand side has been a feature of the game. I think you'll also feel that Bokandi at the end of it is the one man who could be able to finish off what he's actually starting.
Last 2 minutes. 1-1 the score, as it's been since the 38th minute of the first half. Senegal, the host nation in white, were behind for 25 of those first half minutes. Confirmation of Yekini's yellow card. Sia it was who gave Nigeria the 13th minute lead. Bokandi equalising 7 minutes before the break. Nigeria looking the team more likely with Fanini's cross, and there was Sia again. He seemed to get a little push. Ekpo trying to resurrect the move. Chance here for Adepoju, and a great goal by Keshi! And that will surely win it with less than 2 minutes to go. Stephen Keshi of Strasbourg wallops in a goal, which may just quiet the crowd here in Dakar, because Senegal, the host nation, are staring defeat roundly in the face. It's been on the cards, Clay. The move's been on the cards. Excellent play. They've been able to Senegal not been able to get
near one particular challenge. Finally, but Keshi's absolutely hammered it into the net. But it's been there. I'm not saying that Nigeria have caused an awful lot of problems doing it, but Senegal have allowed the game to drift past them, and I feel that they've deserved that. You know, there's just a complacency has set in the last 15 minutes of the game. I think there was a wee bit of fear there that they might lose the particular game, and lost it. They most certainly look to have done now.
Well, we're inside the final minute. Stephen Keshi, a central defender, arriving unannounced inside the Senegal penalty area to pounce on the pass from Edepoju, and there was certainly plenty of space and time for both of them. A lot of attention being given to the strikers, Yakini and Sia. But it was two uninvited guests in the Senegal penalty area who combined to spoil the party. And all those colourful carriages you can see in the background are rather muted now. Their big night has been ruined by Stephen Keshi. And Ruben Agbula, the Swansea City player, his long trip to Senegal appears to have been worthwhile. His team well on the way to a very encouraging opening day victory. Before they come again. Sia pulled down. Play on, says the referee. And Apoju who set up the goal. Rather casual from Yakini, not quite so casual from Keshi, who doesn't want to see all his handiwork undone with some lax defending in the closing seconds. We've played more than a minute of added time now, and Nigeria in green lead the host nation Senegal by 2-1. A goal with less than 2 minutes remaining from Stephen Keshi. Said that he has an aging squad and that this may be their last chance to succeed together, certainly their best chance on home soil. But they're going to be in the situation of having to beat Kenya here on Thursday just in order to make progress in the competition. Certainly the number 9 there, Sia, whose goal set Nigeria on the way in combination with Yakini, his striking partner. And for me, it's certainly been the key to the game, because the Senegal defence have never been able to rest easy at any stage. They've kept them busy, kept them honest, kept them on their toes, and eventually created the space for others to profit. Nigeria, whose success at junior level has been such a feature of Africa's rise to prominence as a footballing power, are now maybe assembling a squad to make a mark at senior level. Beaten finalists in each of the last 2 Nations Cup. Is this Nigeria's year? To an end with the host nation beaten on the opening day. Senegal 1, Nigeria 2. Senegal behind to a goal from Sia after 30 minutes, level by half-time, but beaten in the last 2 minutes by Stephen Keshi's goal for Nigeria.